So according to this, we're now live. It says we're live. I'm just going to verify in Facebook. So let me see. This is what the delay was last week when I was on with Smudger. Yep, we're actually live. Let me just make sure the lads are on as well. I'll put on there, we're live now. If you come on board, like. Right. Let's get started then. Paul, thank you for joining us today. We've had a few technical issues for those that are out there. I'm not going to say into it too much, but I think what Paul doesn't know was I actually put a post on there saying that basically the internet hasn't made its way to Chester Street yet. And Paul's just ran all the way up Chester Bank there, all the way from the red line to the top of the bank. So he's now with a signal, so which is good. So we're A-OK to go. So, I'm going to give Paul a quick introduction. So I know there's a lot of lads on here who remember Paul playing. And there's some of you newer fans who, again, would like to get to know what his history was. So I'll put together some information for you. Paul began his footballing career at Sunderland, making his debut in England's top flight. Yes, that was a long time ago when we were in the old Division 1, which is the Premier League now. He was at the age of 17. He started a home league opener against Norwich City on August 27th, 1983. He'd registered his first goal in what proved to be a game winner a few weeks later as the lads downed Wolves at Roker Park 3-2. At the time, Atkinson's talents were being recognised at the national level, and he'd go on to make 18 appearances in various England youth teams. Pacey Winger would play a big part in the seasons that followed, where Sunderland crashed out of the top division into the second tier. A disappointing 18th position was then followed by the club slipping into the third tier for the first time in the club's history. I'll probably call it a coincidence, but the club's form seemed to dip without Paul in the side. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Dennis Smith would instill a level of confidence in both Atkinson and the side in what proved to be his final season at the club. That year, he'd make 28 appearances, scoring 5 goals along the way. Sunderland go on to be crowned Division 3 champions, winning the league by 9 clear points. Paul would make 70-plus appearances in a Sunderland shirt before moving to Port Vale in 1988. He scored a brace on his debut in a 3-1 win over Preston North End at Deepdale. But unfortunately, due to injury, Atkinson had to cut his career short and hung up his boots in 1991. Paul, like I said before, we're actually very, very happy to have you here today. So thank you for joining us.
Cheers, Derek.
Now then, the question that we always like to ask everybody is, what are you doing now? What are you up to now?
Well, going with what's happening today, I'm a key worker, actually. I'm a locksmith. See, and you see, I knew you would.
Oh, Lord.
No. I can't really tell you because honestly, I can't because it involves a lot of money,
right,
and whatever. And if I told you, I'd have to kill you. So,
okay, fair enough.
So I can't say anything, but I am working hard, and funny enough, I've been working today until about 3:00.
Sorry, I'm just checking to see. We've got people on here. So we've got. I can see we've got Steve Dean on from Jarrah. And Mule Mara, David Tudor, who's tuned in from Hortley Spring. Right, we're going to get some questions as well for you, Paul. Okay. Obviously, these are not rehearsed or out, so trying to get the... here it is here. Okay, so you made your debut for Sunderland as a 17-year-old at Roker Park against Norwich, and that was the start of the 1983-84 season. What were your memories of that day?
The funny part about it is, like now... pre-match meals and whatever, the club, the players meet and get together and go and have a meal, pre-match meal and whatever. But I didn't back in the day. I mean, I was 17-year-old. My dad made me pre-match meal, which was a plate of chips with 5 Richmond sausages, 5 fish fingers, and a tin of processed peas. And I lay on the floor at midday on the Saturday of the game and watched it was Football Focus or whatever it was, and ate that. Then I got picked up by Barry Venison in his red Ford Capri from my dad's house because I couldn't drive, and he took me to the ground. Norwich at home. I knew I was playing before the game anyway because I'd played most of the pre-season, beating the Isle of Man and whatever. I'd done well over there, so I played all the games and I was more or less told, without being told, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. That I was playing, but I mean, my pre-match meal obviously it didn't help my performance on the day as it happens.
Class. So, how did you feel to make your debut at Roker Park? I mean, I think there was like 17,000 plus fans there that day. How did it feel to make your debut there?
I was fine. I wasn't nervous, as far as I can remember. I just wanted to get a first touch on the ball and and have a go at the defenders. I mean, as it happens, it was a hard debut because stepping up from sort of reserve level into first team football, you think it's easy, but you come up against proper men. And I was a young kid, you know what I mean? And so I got kicked a bit like. I remember playing against the right back was called John Devine, who played at Arsenal, played for the Republic of Ireland, and he must have been told, this kid's like a little, I was 10 stone way through, just go and kick him. So every time I got the ball, I got kicked up my height.
Sounds class. That's when football was football then, back in the day. So
well, it was. And, like just thinking about like Norman Hunter yesterday, a proper footballer, and you could go and kick. And I have actually, because of what's happening with the lockdown, that I've been watching like the big match from 1974, 75. And you see some of the tackles and things that are going on there, and you think, bloody hell, how do you get away with that? But that's what it was. And to be honest, it wasn't much better in 83.
Yeah. Well, I know it wasn't long after that you actually got your first goal. So basically, can you talk us through what transpired against Wolves that day?
I know everything about that day. Went 1-0 up. I remember that. Gary Rowell, who never missed a penalty, or hardly ever missed a penalty, scored a penalty in the Roker end. We went 2-0 up. Leighton James took a corner at the full end, and Peter Daniel, who eventually came to play for Sunderland, he played in the 85 Milk Cup final, who, funny enough, has a resemblance to Peter Sutcliffe. As the ball was put in by Leighton, he got a flick on for the knee post and went in. So 2-0, one goal. And then my goal, Chris Turner whacked it forward to Wesley. Wesley not at a Mark Proctor, and he played it to me. And I just had one bloody massive touch at the edge of the box. And I hit left peg, 20 yards, bottom corner, full end. As it happens, after that, they come back to 3-1 and 3-2. Tony Towner and Mel Eves scored something like 82, 86 minutes. I remember it. And I thought, oh, shit. I thought I was going to score the winning goal here. We're winning 3-0. And then they come back to 3-2. And I thought, oh, don't let it be a draw. And we managed to hold on. And that was our first one of the season, actually.
Yeah, well, that's class as well. So from a personal standpoint, as a player, where did you draw your inspiration when you first started out?
The first thing I can remember about football was 73 Cup final. And I was 7-year-old at the time. And I remember watching the game, seeing the goal, and I've been told that I locked myself in the toilet in the second half, thinking if I locked myself in the toilet, Leeds couldn't score. And I kept running out, and every time I ran out, Leeds were attacking, so I ran back in the toilet. and I remember, obviously, when they won, I had my Sunderland slip on. I remember running up and down the street, singing the good old "We've won the cup" thing, And then after that, obviously school football, and then I used to train every Tuesday, Thursday night at Roker Park and whatever, with the schoolboys, and it just went from there. Really, I didn't. Honestly, I'm being totally honest here. When I thought, I looked at the lads who were like schoolboys at Sunderland, and I thought, I ain't got a chance here. Like, so I don't know what happened, but it happened.
Was there like a specific player that you admired to the point that you actually tried to emulate them?
There was two. I had a soft spot for Notts Forest back in the day, and that's when they won, the European Cup in 79 and 80. I went down there on trial when I was 13 in 79. I got taken down there and met a few people in that. And the two that I loved from that team, well, I think Archie came a bit later, but Archie Gemmell, because Archie, he was left-footed and he was over 5'5", and at the time I wasn't much bigger. And I thought, well, if a little fella can do that, then I've got a chance. But the one that really stood out for me was John Robertson. Although he played as a left winger, he was right-footed, and people don't know that. People think he was left-footed. He wasn't. John Robertson was, but he's two-footed, but his main foot was his right foot, and just his crossing ability and just on the ball, how he could beat a defender and get the ball at the box. So I was in awe of him. So it was John Robertson, actually.
Excellent. That's cool. So during your 5 full seasons at the club, you, like the fans, experienced obvious highs and lows. Obviously, finishing 13th in the top flight. The club reached a cup final as well, 2 relegations, and also a championship winning season. So over those seasons, you lined up alongside some quality players, many of whom are considered legends of the club to this day. These include, and are not limited to, we were just talking about them just before we came on here, Barry Venison, Pop Robson, Chris Turner, Colin West, Elliott, Nick Pickering, Alan Kennedy, Benno, Clive Walker, Gates, Gabbiadini, and then one of the guys who we'll actually have on in 2 weeks from now, Ruben Agbula. I'll put that in just to drop it in there.
I like Ruben.
Oh, he's a great lad. So, who was the best Sunderland player you played alongside, and why?
If it was for everything about him, it was probably Eric Gates. But you've got to think that when Gatesy played, we were in the 3rd division.
Yeah,
and Gatesy had a fantastic career at Ipswich and whatever. So touching everything, but it was too easy for Eric, and it was 3rd division. I love Pop Robson. His attitude, his professionalism, I love him to death. But overall, if you take the player as a youngster and what he went on to do, Paul Bracewell.
Brace?
Yeah, Brace, definitely. I mean, as I say, Gatesy was class, but that was in the 3rd division. Brace did it at a high level. You know, Gatesy obviously did it early in his career. And people would say he was past what he come to son, but he wasn't. He was outstanding. But Paul Bracewell, probably.
Okay, and so, good ask. During your career, then, who was the overall best player you played alongside and wise? I know you went to Vale, obviously, afterwards, and then obviously you played.
There wasn't money there.
I'm sure the Valiants will be upset with that, but I know you played in various Ingle youth teams as well. So was there any players in there that were turned out to be phenoms afterwards?
There was. I mean, Teddy Sheringham was sub.
Oh yeah.
He was sub. Wasn't very good. I don't know what happened. And then I played in the year before, so I played Venner was there, Paul Rideout, who was in Villa and that, Martin Keown. I actually played in the same youth team with Steve Parkin, the Sunderland assistant manager.
Yeah, the assistant. Yeah,
Parky. But the best one, and you could tell he was younger than me. We went on a tournament into Cannes in France, Tony Adams. And Tony played centre half with Martin, but Tony was outstanding, and you knew straight away he was going to. I mean, I remember walking. Every other team had like tracksuits and sweatshirts and whatever. We had a full suit on, England, with a shirt and tie, walking in 90-degree heat down the coast there in France, and couple come the other way, and they went, hello Tony. I thought, bloody hell, everybody knows Tony Adams. And it was his mum and dad, it was his mum and dad, which I didn't know. But he was outstanding. You could tell he was 16-year-old or 17-year-old, and he was outstanding. You knew something was going to happen with him, football wise.
Yeah. I've got a couple of questions coming in from the lads online. Derek McLaughlin, who's in Oviedo, Florida. He wants to know if you've actually checked out your the profile picture on the Wikipedia page, because you look remarkably like Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't know who's done that, but basically, if you go on there, it is you are. I have no idea why. Is there some sort of connection between you and Fergie that you want to tell us about?
Well, I love Alex Ferguson. He's the best manager that's ever been. No, I don't know what fish he's on about. Actually, I've been told I used to be a bailiff a few years back, and I went into court and in Newcastle, and the chief, the judge said I look like Alan Shearer. Believe it or not, I didn't take kindly to. Obviously,
I was going to say, I'm not sure if that's a compliment,
Well, it's not, and it wasn't at the time either. But I don't know which picture they're on about with
No. So there's on the Wikipedia page. If you go in there, someone's put a picture of Alex Ferguson's face on.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've done that, and there's pictures of all sorts of different people. It's not me, but I get it now. Thanks,
it's a class. I've got another question that's from Graham, but I'll mention that later on. So, having made 70+ career appearances in England's top 3 divisions, you've obviously faced many players. Can you tell us who was the best opposing player that you faced?
It's a bit like the Gatesy question about, in the 3rd division. I remember Jan Molby, but that was in a reserve game at Roker Park against Liverpool, and he was outstanding. He never moved from the centre of the pitch, but he just had 2 cracking feet on him. He just pinged it all over the place. He's outstanding. Played against Robson, Rush, Dalglish, played against all of them. Whiteside and Mark Hughes I played against when I was 15 in the youth cup, and it was men against boys. You could tell. they were 18-year-old to my 15, but they were outstanding. But the best one by a long way was Glenn Hoddle.
All right, yeah.
At Tottenham. And I mean, I've got a little story about him. I remember we played at White Hart Lane, and they got a free kick after 8 minutes. It's with my favourite manager, not Len Asher.
Which?
And,
I was going to say which one.
not. And and I was lined up on the wall after about 8 minutes and huddled, clipped one in the top corner, and I started applauding. And I got wrong at half time for that, like. But I mean, it was a great free kick. It was a great free kick.
That's class.
I applauded.
I remember there was a time that we used to do that at the stadium as well, Roker Park. If somebody came in and scored a cracking goal for the opposition, you'd still applaud it. Those days have gone now, so I haven't seen it since. So similar to the best opposing player, but again, it may be a different answer. Who did you dread facing the most?
I always used to have a look in the programme to who was playing right back, because obviously I was a left winger, so who was playing right back. So I always liked it if they were old and not so quick. And the two that really kicked me to shreds were Mick Mills and Steve Perryman. And they were I was going to say they were like in the 50s, but they weren't. They were like in the 30s at the time. Yeah. And I could beat them for pace. I just couldn't get past them. They had massive thighs. And I remember looking at them thinking, bloody hell, and I had like little legs like that. And every time I got the ball, I was thinking, I'm going to get kicked there. And they did. They just hit us because they knew what they were doing. They were against a kid. But they were both dirty as well, you know. When you think Mick Mills and you think Steve Perry, you think, oh, gentlemen in this. Yeah. Oh, no, they weren't. Like, they were nasty. They're nasty. They would flick you and pick you and nab you and they do everything. Mick Mills. Lovely fella off the field. But hard as nails.
Oh, I've got another question here for you as well. So basically, when you played for Sunderland, how often did you train? I mean, think about the training regimes this day and age. How often did you train back then?
Not often enough. We used to, say we played on a Saturday, always used to have a Sunday off. I think in my time there, 6 or 7 years, I think we only trained 2 Sundays. And that was sort of before a bank holiday. A game on a Saturday, if you'd won, depending on the manager, used to give you the Monday off. If you didn't, you were in on the Monday. But you were only trained in the morning, 10 till 12. Tuesday you would train. Wednesday you would normally have a day off. Then you would be on Thursday, a bit of running, and then on the Friday, a 5-a-side, and that was it. So not a lot, actually. Yeah. I know later on people start coming back in the afternoons, but you only start coming back in the afternoons when we were struggling and we were getting stuffed, which didn't really... You used to think, well, we're getting beat, and you run us into the ground. We're going to be more tired for the game on Saturday, but that's what used to happen. But basically, we used to train maybe 3.5 days a week. Yeah.
So I mentioned about the modern day. Now, what are your likes and dislikes about the modern game?
What do I like? What I dislike is all the cheating and all the jumping about and diving about and this that, and the other. I'm not keen on VAR. I thought I would be. But there's too many black areas in that as well. I mean, I'll watch something on the TV where the goal gets disallowed for something, and I totally disagree. And so, again, it's all about opinion. You know, it should be black and white. What do I like about the game now? Maybe I like the players getting paid a lot of money. And when I hear the government saying, you know, take cuts, why should they? They've signed contracts. Why should they? They shouldn't. But in the same as that, I don't like it how I can see players now getting mega bucks that I was better than.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how's he getting that?
Yeah.
I think I was born at the wrong time, actually. But but I have nothing against like the big players getting really, really lots of money. I ain't got a problem with.
Yeah.
I don't get. So that's the only thing, really. I think the money is the good side. The bad side is all the cheating and diving about.
No, that's fair enough. Like so it's going back to your playing career then. So what were your favourite grounds or stadium to play in? So I'm going to ask you as a player and as a supporter as well. So where's the best and worst grounds that you visited and why?
The best one that I played in at the time, although it's not now, was knocked down White Hart Lane. But I played there when I was 15 in the Youth Cup, and then I played there. I think I was 18 or 19 when Huddle scored that goal. And I played at Old Trafford as well when I was 15, and it's not like it was now. I mean, it held about 45,000 something, and it was a bit of a shell. Yeah, so White Hart Lane was probably the best one. The worst one, and you can ask Ruben about this, was Twerton Park. We got stuffed 4-0 at Bristol Rovers. And it was just, honestly, it's like a non-league. I think it was Bath City's ground. It was rubbish.
They were playing a Bath for a while. They were playing a Bath for a while, definitely. Yeah.
You asked Ruben what happened when we were in the Bath. Right? You asked Ruben that next week. I mean, there was nothing sexual. I'm just saying.
Are you sure?
Well, positive. Although he did stop with mine a couple of times, but when we were in the Bath, the roof caved in. Right, I swear down, the roof caved in. We were getting beat 4-0, but we weren't like kicking off. We were just moaning at each other, and the roof came. And I'd just get out the bath, and there was lights, fittings, and all sorts, falling in the bath. And we come out the bath, and the Bristol Rovers put a complaint in and tried to get money out of Sunderland for wrecking the dressing room or the bath and shower area. We didn't do anything. He wasn't electrocuted. I'd get out. That was a big communal bath, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'd get out, and the whole roof just caved in. He was rooming about that.
Lord, man. Well, I was going to ask you about your preference for. Do you like the modern stadium or a bit more nostalgic? Which is your favourite?
Well, apart from Roker Park, I loved Roker Park.
Yeah.
It had a smell, It had a smell when you walked in. George Baker, who just retired last year, at Sunderland, he was like the doorman, if you like. I remember George used to open the big doors at Roker Park. You used to go in, and as soon as you opened the door, I'm not saying it was a good smell, but you knew you were in Roker Park. It was just that smell, and I loved Roker Park. But on saying that, the grounds now, Stadium like Old Trafford, whatever, outstanding, aren't they? White Hart Lane, you can't. Yeah. So, as much as I loved Roker Park, you've got to move on, and so I suppose like the new grounds are better,
Yeah, that's fair enough. So over your career, you've played for likes of Alan Durban. You're going to love this bit as well because here we go. Alan Durban. I want to tell people. So I had a chat with Paul earlier this week, and there was a common theme. And Paul and his dislike for the managers he played for. Anyway, I thought we'd get to this question. So you played for Alan Durban, Len Ashurst, Laurie McAmenemy, Bob Stokoe for a short period, and then Dennis Smith. Each of these managers saw a different value in your play. I'm sure you had. That's not true. I'm sure you had different relationships with them as well. So Jackie Lemon reckons that your favourite would be Durban, as he still refers to you as his love child. So Graham had actually mentioned, I'm going to kind of incorporate. So Graham, who lives in Arizona, who was the best manager that you played under while you were at Sunderland, and why? And who do you think actually got the best out of you as a player?
Durban was the best manager by a million miles. He put us like in the first team within 3 months of leaving school and that, which, I mean, I was flying in the reserves and that, but I didn't expect to be in the first team squad. So Durban looked after us, but in the same respect, he let me down because he said to me, he says, if you play in the first 6 games of the season, I'll sign you pro. And I played in the first 6 games. We won 1, drew 1, lost 4. I'd done all right, actually. And he signed me pro. So my money went up, and then he left us out for the Coventry game at home, which I knew would win. And he put Leighton James in, and we won. And I struggled to get back in that team. So as much as I love Alan Durban for putting me in there, I don't know why he took me out. And he said, it's the youth thing, I don't want it to harm his psyche, and what it didn't. I was loving it. So I loved Alan. Was after Len. I know what to say about Len. I'll get on all right with him now. But I thought he was an absolutely terrible manager. McMenemy didn't get on with at all. Although I think, and I don't know if this was right, but I think I played more consecutive games under McMenemy than I did under anybody else, I think. But he did play us on the right wing. But and then Dennis, I love Dennis as well. Bob Stokoe, and I know people are going to, the Messiah from 73, what did now for me. I've got a story, but listen to this. Right? Bob Stoker, all right? This is I'm asking you a question here, Derek, all right?
Okay, mate.
Bob Stoker was in charge the second leg of the Gillingham game, yeah? Or the first leg as well, when Sunderland got relegated to the third division.
Yes.
He's made his mind up for the second leg, 10 out of 11 players. He's not sure about one position. And it's between me and Paul Lemon. Now, Jack's my mate. I love Jack. I've known him since he was 13-year-old. I love him to death. He's better than me, feet-wise and whatever. He's not as quick and he's not as good-looking and stuff like that. But at the time, we had two coaches at Sunderland. We had Chris McManamy, Laurie's son.
Yeah.
Who, lovely lad, didn't play professionally, good coach, and then believe it or not, we had Ray Kennedy. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I've wrote it down here. He got 17 England caps. He won the league 6 times, the FA Cup, 3 European Cups. He's won all sorts.
Yeah.
Bob Stewart got them two in and said, "Who would you play in this game?" Chris McManamy said, "Paul Lemon." Ray Kennedy, superstar, said me.
Yeah.
Who did he play?
Jackie played.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And so, you're taking Chris's word. And I love Chris, don't get us wrong, I love Chris.
Yeah.
He played Chris over Ray Kennedy. I'm thinking, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got... And Bob would pass his best by then. I mean, I'm not having to go at the fella because he was brilliant in the 70th and that, but he passed his best by the time he was with us. Oh, I haven't upset anybody there, by the way. But
I'm sure you haven't. I mean, we've got to look at the club as well. Just to mirror what you're saying there. We've had other managers come in towards the back end of a season to try and save the season for us. I think we had. I think Quinny was in there. Bawley was put up against the wall basically to coach the team. So there's other people that have been put in that position who are legends at the club. And I think it's the same. It was the same for when Stoker came back. I think he had 9 games or something left to save the season, or something like it was close to that. And really, I mean, we were on a downward trajectory anyway, and I think it was very tough to motivate the team. Then I didn't. My first experience of Newcastle fans actually was at the Gillingham home game. That's the first time I'd experienced that. I really didn't like them anyway. Yeah, so that was my first experience in that. But I think. So I got to that game, and my first full season was your last season at the club, the 87-88. I've got to thank an old school friend of mine, Graham Kendall, who I used to go to the games with a long time ago. He got me to go there. It was actually I stopped going. My first games not being with my dad at the match, so it was always interesting. So I totally understand what you're saying about Stoker. So why do you think? And we touched on Dennis Smith there, but why do you think that Sunderland rediscovered their form with him and Dennis? I think Dennis was my first real manager at the club there. So why do you think that we started to be more successful under him?
He was a funny fella actually, and he was like one of the lads. Where like if you went away, which he used to do at the end of the season, by love and whatever, all the other managers used to go there, but you could go out and have a drink with Dennis, and he was a nice fella, and Viv was as well. They respected the players. They let them, get away with a bit much and whatever, but he was basically just like one of the lads. The thing is, if you got on his wrong side, like he could look after yourself, like, and and he used to know if you'd done something wrong, but the youth, and he got the right sort of experienced players in, and brought the youth through at the same time, which a lot of the players didn't do. Which I mean, like Laurie brought all the old players in and just didn't work. Yeah, but Dennis, I love Dennis.
I'd even heard from Bawley as well. Bawley said that Dennis Smith was a hard case. Like he holds him in high esteem. So to this day, but that's class. So basically, I picked up some interesting facts as well about Paul Atkinson. So rumor has it that you played 2 games in one day for Sunderland. Is that correct?
It is. I was out the first team for a change. And we were playing Huddersfield on the youth team on Saturday morning. And so I thought, oh, bugger this, I'm going to go and have a few beers. So I went down to Cheshire Street and had a few beers and played the youth team in the morning against Huddersfield at Washington, 11 o'clock kickoff, and I was terrible. And we drew 0 each. And after the game, Ian Hughes, who played 3 or 4 games for Sunderland, I think, was our coach, and Ian came in. And he said, you, and you. And he pointed at Davy Corn and Jack Lemon and me. He said, you, and I don't know why, but you, get yourself back to the ground. For a park, we played Stoke in the afternoon in the old First Division. He said, because 3 or 4 of the lads had gone down with some bug. So we've gone back, and I can't remember either Jack or Davy played, and I was the sub. And so it's nils each, and I remember the manager saying, get yourself warmed up. So I come out the dugout, and I took a left, and I started getting warmed up next towards the road end. And someone shouts, hey, Atkinson, what was that Malibu and pineapple last night in Crocodillos in Jersey Street? And I suddenly went, oh, bloody hell. So I turned around and ran the other way. I came on for 20 minutes ago, and for 20 minutes, I must have put 20 crosses in the box. And David Hodgson scored a header in the rope end, and we won 1-0. So I played in the morning. The youth team was absolutely shocking. Played 20 minutes in the first game in the afternoon and set the goal for Hodgie. And that was before mobile phones. And I remember going out on the night and getting phone calls at my local. Press wanted to talk to us because I played the 2 games in 2 days. But it was just funny that I had a few beers, and people, when I was warmed up, people must have seen this. I'm thinking, how the hell did they know what's the night before? But
So another rumor was I heard that you scored the best 2 goals of your career, and they're both chalked off. What happened there?
Both right foot beauties.
Aye. What happened?
I played Sheffield United away, I remember. And my first goal actually was against John Burridge for when he was at Wolves. And John Burridge by this time had gone to Sheffield United. And I remember I got the ball on the left-hand side, cut the edge of the box, and curled it with my right foot right in the top corner past Burridge. And Dave Buchanan was standing offside in the 6-yard box. So that was the time where if you're offside, you're offside. And I've curled from 25 yards. It went right in the top corner, right in the top corner. And that would have made it 1-0. Benno scored 1-0 up, and we ended up getting beat 2-1. And we would have won. I remember the referee, Dennis Hedges. I remember his name. and that was the first one. And my second one was at Roker Park. It was Gabby Adini's debut against Chester City in the 3rd division. And they had a corner, and it came out the edge of the box, and it bounced up about 3 foot, and I swiveled and hit it right-footed, and it never left 2 foot off the ground, and it flew in. And there was somebody, I don't know, it was probably Big Cannon again. I think it might have been Fingers, Gordon Armstrong. It might have been Fingers just offside in the 6-yard box, and the flag went up again, and I'm hit it from 20 yards. They were best 2 goals, both right-footed.
And they were both disallowed. It's a shame that.
It was a shame,
No. So going back to the managers again. So let's talk about Laurie McMenemy for a minute. So obviously when he joined the club, he was highly decorated manager. He was dubbed the Messiah. He was supposed to return us back to the glory days. So in your opinion, where did it all go wrong?
Well, it went wrong by appointing him in the first place. It's Southampton, right? Who did he buy? He bought Keegan and Ball and Channon, Shilton, McMills, Dave Watson, David Armstrong. He bought all these old players who could still play. At Sunderland, he bought Swindlehurst, Hetsky. I mean, Gates is the exception. Yeah. George Burley was past his best. Frank Gray, great player, but past his best. Alan Kennedy, past his best. And it just didn't work for him. And he had no confidence in young players. He'd rather have 11 old ones than 9 and 2 or 8 and 3. And it didn't help that whenever you used to see him at the training ground, he never used to come to the training ground at all, unless there was a camera there. If he knew the BBC would turn up, he would turn up. And he tried to get us to train at Roker Park, and the fellow who did the pitch and that didn't like it. And so I think, I could be wrong here, but maybe sacked him because he was moaning, saying, "Don't train on my pitch." But he couldn't be asked to go up to Clayton. He'd rather just stand and watch, from his office. And he had Lou Chatley as well, mind, who was his number 2, who was a horrible fella. He used to come round and pretend he was talking to you, but he was smelling your breath to see if you had a drink the night before. He did it to Ian Hesford all the time. But he thought he was Hessie's best mate, but he was just smelling Hessie's breath. Horrible. It was a horrible atmosphere.
It doesn't sound nice at all. And again, it was disappointing for us as fans because we were hoping same sort of thing that I think not too dissimilar to when Martin O'Neill came in. Obviously, Martin's got a massive career, very successful as a manager. and we all want, at most of 90% of the fans wanted him to be manager, and they call out for it. So it's a similar sort of situation where we were expecting to return to higher standards, but unfortunately it didn't work out, as you know. Got a question from Derek online. He's saying, why was Gordon Armstrong called Fingers? Oh, Lord.
It's not what you think. What happened when he was an apprentice? We used to go to the physio's room, and they used to have this thing. It was called reduction, and it was like like an orange tablet you used to put into water, and and fizzy stuff and whatever. And Gordon liked it that much. He used to go in the physio's office and maybe lift a few. You know what I mean? But it had no, and he got found out. And plus there was a kid called Paul Breen, who was from Glasgow, and his mum baked him or sent him down some Bakewell tarts, and he was in the digs, and Gordon had come one day, and I think Gordon took out his Bakewell tarts and all. He was like that, Fingers, man. Fingers. I nicknamed him Fingers, actually. I nicknamed him Fingers.
That's brilliant.
He was the best man at my first wedding and all, Fingers.
Was he?
He was, aye.
Brilliant. So you played a part in what was a very memorable season for me as a young Sunderland supporter, winning the 3rd division at the first time of trying, which is obviously something our current team have been unable to do. In the end, to me, it felt like we walked that league. So what were your favourite memories of that season?
It's difficult that, because at the start of the season I was injured, and I was injured at the end of the season as well. So at the start of the season, Gary Howes was playing, and I couldn't get in. I think it was the 4th or 5th game he was injured, so I got in against Mansfield, and we beat them 4-1 at home, and I scored. And then the next game, I thought, well, I've scored, I've done all right. And he left us out again, put Gary back in. And then I got in the middle of the season, and the back end of the season, I was injured again, and Colin Pascoe was in. And so I haven't got... I missed the start, which I wanted to play in, and then obviously I missed the end, which was all the fun and of getting promoted and whatever. I mean, the one thing I remember is Port Vale, who I went to actually the next season, getting down there. We won 1-0. I think, was it Gatesy scored near the end? I think Gatesy scored, and I remember having a canny party afterwards, and that was the best part of the season actually, because I didn't think I played as. Although I think you said before, I played 20 odd games, and I didn't realise that that season. I didn't.
Yeah, you played. I think 28 games you played total that season.
I didn't think I played that many, and I didn't think I really. I missed the end, which was sad. Like, I mean, I remember when we won the last game at home and whatever, and coming up the pitch at the end and walking around and whatever. But it's not the same when you haven't played,
Yeah. Well, who was the another question for Davey here? Who was the biggest personality in the changing room or travelling to matches?
Well, it depends what era you're talking about. In the latter time, it was Gatesy. It was always Gatesy and Frank Gray, actually. It was probably Gatesy and Frank Gray. Early times when I was a kid. Who do you look up to? We looked up to everybody. You were 16, 17-year-old. And like the season before, you'd been actually going to watch the games. And then 3 or 4 months later, you're actually on a bus with these players that you used to go and watch them, whatever. Little Stan. Oh, bloody hell, man, Sean Elliott, how are you?
Yeah.
You used to watch them, and then all of a sudden you sit next to them. And the amazing thing to me, and I remember going home and telling my mum and dad this after about 2 months in, being an apprentice. I remember going back, and it's sad actually, I suppose, but I remember going back saying, if I passed any Sunderland player in Chelsea Street, Main Street, the only one who probably wouldn't recognise this was Mick Buckley. Yeah. And I remember saying, Stan, Gary, Sean, Chris.
Yeah.
Hello, Paul. And that, but it was just, I was saying, bloody hell, I know all of these people now, which I'm still amazed today, to be honest with you.
We had little Stan out. So he lives in Kansas now. We had Stan out. He's a brilliant bloke, really nice. He told us some stories about buying I think a leather jacket, and he had he was fascinated with I think it was Burt Reynolds and his Pontiac Firebird or something. So I think he got some decals for his car or something. That's what he was saying anyway. He was a really good laugh. Very, very, very nice fella.
He was back about 6 months ago, I think. He came back, and he comes back. I mean, I always come out right with Stan. He was a nasty little fella when he was, like his apprentice used to say, "There's your boots down," and Stanley said, "They're not good enough." He chuck them back at him, But I got on all right. He's a nice fella.
Yeah.
He's in me. I wrote a team out of me best 11 Sunderland players, and he's in it. Like it's like a 1 to 11. Top man.
Yeah, that's class. Another question from Davey here is asking. So basically, over I think the era that you played in, we were able to attract some very talented players. Obviously, we've seen the rise and the fall of the club. But why do you think we struggle to actually bring in good players now to the club? Why do you? I'm not disrespecting the current team. Don't get me wrong, but I think I think about Frank Gray. He was successful, I think, at Leeds, and obviously Gatesy. Yeah, and we've had some great players come through the club, but I think we still struggle to get that consistency. Is this? Do you think there's a reason why people don't want to come to Sunderland?
Just that it's the northeast. That's all it can be. I mean, I remember when Eric signed. He was a big name, although he was like coming to the end of his career. I remember Eric telling me the story that Jack Charlton was managing Newcastle, and they were in the different above Sunderland, and Jack Charlton had been in touch with them and said, "I want you to come up in this and the other." And Murray McMillan rang him up and said, "I want you to come with us." And Gates had said, "I'm signing for Newcastle. I've been on the phone to Jack, and they're in the division above, whatever." And Eric said, and McMillan had said to Eric, "Bring your boots. I'll make you a Scotch corner. I'll give you more money than that." So at the time, Eric got more money signed for Sunderland than he did going to Newcastle, a division above. And it can only be the region. That's all it can be. Because you put the Sunderland even now in the third division getting like 40,000. I mean, come on. And even Newcastle, I mean, it's a swear word, but Newcastle getting 50,000. Why wouldn't you want to come play it if it wasn't for especially for the foreign players? I mean, bloody hell, there's an airport. You can get in and out of Newcastle and whatever. Why wouldn't you come? I honestly don't understand.
Yeah. I think I watched a documentary that there's a program over here in the States called The Men in Blazers. There's two English lads basically who go back and forth. It's a bit of a constant spoof. They talk about different things about each of the clubs and just take the mickey out of them. But one of the documentaries that they did, they were talking about how that Sunderland is a destination, as in you never travel through Sunderland, you have to be going there. So if you think about the railway line and all that kind of thing, obviously you go through Durham, Newcastle, and that's what I think they tried to say. Well, unless you're going there, you're not going there, kind of thing. So that could be part of it too. Got a question here going back to your Sunderland 11. Stephen Mears from Atlanta has asked, who else was in your top 11 for Sunderland?
I'll tell you the team. I've got it in my head.
Go on then.
The best goalkeeper, and he only played about 12 games for Sunderland, was Andy Dibble. People will say Chris Turner. To me, Chris wasn't. I know he went to Man United as well, actually. But he wasn't big enough. He wasn't commanding enough. He wasn't brave enough. That's just my opinion. And I like Dibbs. And Dibbs went on to better things. And I got on well with Dibbs anyway. So maybe that's what it is. Fullbacks, Venison and Pickering. Centre halves, definitely Sean Elliott. And I would have said Sean Elliott and Rob Hindmarch. I love Rob Hindmarch, R.I.P. I love him. But both left-footed. So I thought neither left nor right. So it has to be Sean. And then Benno. Right. Benno was lucky to get in this team, man. Benno was lucky to get in the team. And then two wide men, Stan Cummins, Leighton James.
Yeah.
Love Leighton. Two midfield, Bracewell, Proctor. And the two up front, I thought about the two up front. It's definitely Gary Rowell, and then I put Frank Worthington. I didn't play with Frank in the first team. I only played with him in the reserve, and it was going to be Gatesy. But again, it's looking at Gatesy being in the third division, whereas Frank had done everything. And Frank was a player. Like he was about. I think when he came to Sunderland, he was about 73, but he was still great.
What do you think of Gabby Deeney then? Because he was my era. No. All right, say no, then we'll move on.
No. I mean, Gatesy made him.
Oh, I know, there's no doubt. I mean, between the two of them.
I remember the first day he signed, we were training at Maiden Castle in Durham. And this was an afternoon session, funny enough. And there was me, Gordon, Jack Lemon, Davy Corner. There was 6 of us, and we're just shooting. Knock the ball to a forward, knock it back, and boosh, have a shot. And we're seeing this fat little thing come running over, and we said, "Who's this?" And they just signed him that morning, and he come over and he couldn't hit the barn door like this. It was getting out of the shop. Who's that? Said it's Gary Dean, and he was centre forward. I went, all right, okay. And don't get us wrong, he did brilliant for the club and whatever. But Gatesy made him, man. Gatesy made him.
One of the other lads has put a comment on
I don't think he likes me much either, mine. But
oh, really? Okay, fair enough. Like that's fair enough. A good question here from Decky's Brian. Does Paul get confused with Brian Atkinson a lot, with them being a similar style and height?
Well, I mean, obviously, I was the first Atkinson to play for Sunderland and the most good-looking one. Brian actually was my apprentice.
Really?
He was my apprentice. He was doing me boots and that. But he is the only Atkinson to play for Sunderland in the FA Cup final, so I'll give him that. But funny enough, you say that, and it's as if this was rehearsed. There was not. About a year ago, Ruben Agbula got in touch and said, I'm coming up to watch Southampton play at Newcastle. He says, and Thomas House is coming over. He says, do you fancy meeting? So I met him at a pub, the Aiken side in Newcastle, on the Sunday after the game. Now, I've only met Thomas once, and that was when I went out. I went to a Sunderland game, and after the match, I went out with a few of the lads, and Thomas was there. So that's the first time I met him. So I went to the Aiken side. I'm having a couple of pints with Ruben. And Big Thomas walks in. I went, hello, Thomas, how you doing? He went, hey, Aki, how you doing? And he said something good. He says, remember that game, blah, blah, blah. And I went, Thomas, I never played with you. And he went, yes, you did. I went, I didn't. I said, you joined in 89, I left in 88. And he went, I said, I'm Paul Atkinson, not Brian Atkinson. He went, I thought you looked different. That was a year ago.
Was he from Pakistan?
But no, Brian was outstanding. Like, I mean, he didn't have any pace, but what a player he was, man.
We were expecting him to knock on after, because we thought he was going to replace Bracewell in the middle there.
He played England youth team under 21. Yeah. He was outstanding. Outstanding little player.
Yeah. So let's talk about the current Sunderland team. And so, is there anybody in the Sunderland squad that you actually enjoy watching?
I don't watch a lot of it. I've got to admit that I've been to about 2 or 3 games this season. When I was doing a bit of scouting, and when I was scouting, the one that I liked, because I ended up scouting like at Shrewsbury and Tranmere with Mickey Mellon, who's the Tranmere manager, who's my mate, and the one I told him to sign was Elliot Embleton, who I like. And Elliot ended up going to Grimsby on loan. I mean, he's got 2 great feet. He can pass the ball. He's got an eye for a goal, so I like him. But he's never getting the chances. Someone. The one that I was impressed with in all the games I've seen was Luke O'Neill, who I do like. He loves the club, and he's obviously he's off from Rowdy and whatever, and he's just 100% Sunderland. And you can tell in his play, and apparently he's the first one to train and the last one to leave and whatever. So it's probably Luke O'Neill and Elliot Embleton.
I would say Luke's on track for being club captain. I think he certainly carries himself really well. And he, like you said before, I think he's also one of the last off the pitch as well. So along with just the training thing at the games, which is brilliant.
Yeah. No, I like the lad. He loves the fans. He loves it up here, and I mean the crowd love him, don't they?
I was telling our lads that they do. I told our lads that I heard a story that he had how much of a nice lad he is. He actually had 3 Christmas dinners last year because he got invited by all the neighbours. So instead of saying no, he actually went to all 3 houses. That's what I heard.
That could have explained his play around that time. Yeah.
On Boxing Day, no doubt. So what do you think about the current state of the club?
I mean, they're getting 40,000. Where's the money going? The club's in a bit of turmoil. But if it's just a shame what's happening at the moment, because if they're getting promotion, like we got promoted straight away, went down, all the heads are down, and then if you're winning, you're top of the league and winning, by 10 points or whatever, you'll get the crowds back and you're straight back up. They struggled last season. If they're getting up, I think everything would have been forgotten about, but they didn't. And they are one of the better teams in the league, and they're getting beat off. Rubbish, to be honest with you. And I don't know. As for the owners of the club, I don't know them well enough to do anything. But he's bought the club and he's come in. And he doesn't seem to have a great deal of money to spend and make things better. So I don't know where the club's going. I mean, hopefully the season will get finished. And if the season gets finished, then there's a good chance of getting promotion. But if they just turn around and say that's the end of the season, where does Sunderland go from there for next season?
It doesn't look so good, to be honest.
Not at all.
No, Meeman's just asked, have you been doing Luke O'Nine's workouts during quarantine? Apparently he's posting them online, so...
Well, as I said before, I'm a key worker, so I'm
Oh,
working.
that's right, you're working, man.
That's I'm a
Key
locksmith.
worker. Locksmith.
So
Terrible.
I haven't got time to do it. But he's a fit lad. I mean, I could have
Oh,
done that back in the day. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the first 5 minutes of that now.
Well, what was your most memorable game for Sunderland?
Oh, bloody hell! Yeah, you.
This is from Graham in Arizona, like so.
I don't think I had one. Oh yes. Oh, hey, I've just got a cracker. Sheffield Wednesday away, right? With my favourite manager, Len Ashurst, right? I was sub. So that meant he liked us. And that was the time when there was like only one sub. And we're getting beat 2-0, 5 minutes before half time. And Lee Chapman, who was at Sunderland for a while, and actually had Dix with him for a bit, he went up. He was playing for Sheffield Wednesday, and he elbowed Sean Elliott in the face, and Sean's nose just exploded. So 5 minutes before half time, I've come on. So Sean's the centre half, I'm a left winger. We had to sort it about. 5 minutes of the second half, I scored. Another right footer, 2-1. 5 minutes later, I run through the middle, plays Clive Walker in, 2s each. Last minute, they get a corner. Ball comes over, Imre Varadi heads it. It's going in the top corner. I'm standing on the post. I headed it off the line. 2s each draw, right? I've scored one, set one up, cleared one off the line. I wasn't even in the squad the next week. Thank you, Mr. Len Ashurst. You know what I mean? That's the truth. It's the truth.
Well, that was your most memorable game.
It has to be. It has to be because I only played for 50 minutes. I played and I scored one, set one up, cleared one off the line.
That's class.
I kind of think maybe first goal I remember, which we've talked about before. I love that game, but no, that's probably my most memorable game. That one.
What about memorable games for other clubs? And obviously you were at Hartlepool as well as Port Vale as well. What do you have any memorable games with those lads?
I didn't play many. I mean, you mentioned at the start that I scored 2 on my debut with Preston from Port Vale, but I broke my ankle on the same day, and I played on the Wednesday with a broken ankle for 40 minutes at Chesterfield. That had come off. So I only played 6 games in nearly 3 years at Port Vale, and I only played a few games at Hartlepool as well. So I just. That was terrible, wasn't it? That was terrible. I tell you what, mate, I remember in a comeback game for Port Vale, we played Fulham in Vale Park, and I took the penalties, and one of the goals I scored against Preston was a penalty, and Clive Walker was playing for Preston, for Fulham, and I wasn't fit enough, and I come back and I went past a couple of players, and Clive come in from the side, and I kicked my own foot on purpose because I couldn't run any further, and fell over, and got give a penalty, and Clive come over, giving it one of them, and they're like having a go and whatever, and then he went and said something to the goalkeeper, Jim Stannard, and I thought, oh, shit, what's he saying? What's he telling me?
Yeah,
and I scored. But I remember that playing against Clive. Once my ankle went, that was me going. I made it back in at 24. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll take it back before you mentioned about the scouting stuff. And I was talking to Martin Smith last week, and he said to me that he obviously hadn't met you at the club or anything, but you were having a conversation when he was scouting as well. You were both scouting at the time, and he mentioned that you mentioned to him, that you had a fascination with serial killers. And then about 5 minutes later, that you suggested to him about like traveling together to games. How did that work out?
Well, it didn't, because he sucked us, No, I am into serial killers, and I met Martin at the Carlisle game, and I was talking when I introduced myself, and he went, "Oh, I know who you are," which I felt great about, because I thought nobody remembers me, and Mum went, "Oh yeah, I remember you," and whatever. So I thought, "Oh, that's nice." So we got talking, and he lived in Rayton, and I live in Chelsea Street, and whatever. I said, "Oh, we should go together and go to games, see it, pep with money and whatever." And then we got on about what we watched on the night, and I said serial killers and whatever, and put him off a bit. Did put him off a bit. But
I said he shit himself, when he offered him to take him in the car.
I wasn't going to do that with Martin Smith, But I remember going to watch a game at Bradford, and I got there about an hour early, and I thought Peter Sutcliffe's house around the corner from here, and I'm forgetting it now, but at the time I knew the street he lived in. and I put it in my sat nav, and it was like 1.3 mile away. I went, oh, I'm going to this. So I went up the bank and I turned in left, and sure enough, there it is on the right hand side, his house. You know, where the little driveway up to his garage. So I did a U-turn. Every curtain, every blind was shut in that street. Not one open. And his wife, or his ex-wife, Sonia, still lives in there. She still lives in it to this day. And I drove like sort of opposite, and I got my car and took a couple of pictures. And I put it on Facebook, actually, and I said, who lives in a house like this? But then I was Lloyd Grossman, and everybody got it. It was kind of Yorkshire Ripper, Yorkshire Ripper. And it wasn't, you know. But what I was imagining, though, what I was, and I know this is not football, but I was like thinking, on a night in the 70s, is that him driving back after doing what he's done? And driving up the driveway. And in the garage, he used to have a washing machine that he used to take all his clothes off. And Sonia was always upstairs, you know, she was always asleep because she had problems with one of her. And he used to like put his clothes in there and wash his clothes. And I was just trying to imagine him coming back after doing what he's done, you know. Sadly, but I'm interested in stuff like that. Sorry to bring it down.
Well, there you go then. I'm not sure you'll get any more talk-ins after this, Paul. I'm just.
No. I mean, I've got no inclination to do it myself, but I'm very interested in it. I don't like the sight of blood, so that's me now.
Oh, Lass the same. She likes to watch all that stuff on telly as well. So,
yeah.
So other than Sunderland, obviously, which club would you really wanted to play for?
The first one would have been Notts Forest under Brian Clough. Because as I say, I went down there when I was 13 and I actually met him. I say I met him. I didn't go and say, hello, Mr. Clough. I actually passed him in the corridor and I was like, oh, that's Brian Clough. And then, you know, when the European Cup 79, 80, I was, 13, 14. But it would have been Manchester United, without a doubt. Manchester, I mean, they're the biggest club in the world, like. And so, I mean, obviously I was never good enough, but I would have loved to have played there, like.
Yeah. So as a player as well, what was the best advice you were ever given? So I know you played under different managers and stuff, but I'm sure that obviously you had an education with some of the, as a trainee at the club as well. Did you get any good advice? And who did you get it from?
Football-wise, I remember Pop Robson when he came. I was slight and I wasn't the bravest, shall we say, and. People used to have a go, and the crowd used to have a go. Oh, get stuck in, you soft little this and the other. And I remember Pop saying to me, "Look, he says a big centre half isn't brave because as the ball's getting put up or forward, they can see the player, they can see the ball, they can just go through everybody. You're like playing like on the wing or up front with your side view, and as the ball's playing to you can't see what's behind you, so they can just come and whack you. So they're not brave. You're brave." For accepting the ball that way, which I took on board a bit. And the other one was Graham Taylor,
all right,
manager at Watford in England. He was one of my England youth team managers, and I used to get on really well with him until it didn't go so well. But he loved wingers. You know, obviously he had John Barnes and Nigel Callahan at the time in Watford when he took him under 21s, and it was basically it was non-stop. Get the ball, put it in the box. You know, like when you see a commentary now and you say, oh, he picked him out at the back post and he pinpointed. It's a load of rubbish. You get the ball and you get half a yard and just whip it into a space. And people get on the end of it, you know, and the commentators haven't got a clue, man. Oh, he saw him, did he see me? Didn't see him. He just whipped it into a space and the player attacked it because the player knows where to go, you know. Yeah. So it's probably Pop and Graham Taylor, actually.
Yeah, that's excellent. That. What do you think's been your biggest accomplishment in sports?
I beat Alan Hansen at pool. I was at Lilleshall. With Barry Venison was there actually, and that's how I jumped into Alan's car and we drove to a pub along the road. And Alan guns in and gets his cue. Puts his cue. Who wants a game of pool? I says, I'll play you. And I beat him on the black. And he wants to give his cue, chucked it in that corner. What a bad loser he is. But so there's that. I also played pool against Steve Davis. I potted 5 balls off the break and then he cleared up, so I got beat. And I played darts against Eric Bristow and John Lowe, and I got beat. But
quite the accomplishments, them.
Well,
big names, them. Big names.
Well, yeah, but the best thing I think, my biggest accomplishment, although I never even was in the squad, was never got on the pitch, was when I was 16 and Alan's Durban, me dad said was can I have a word? And I was 16-year-old. I'd only been to the club 3 months. He took me in his office and he says, have you got a suit? I went, what? You never got a suit? I went, aye. He says, oh, you better ring your dad up. He says, because you're in the first team squad tomorrow. And then he burst out crying. I was 16-year-old. And that was Birmingham away. And I wasn't, that was the time of, 11 players and 1 sub. And I was one of the ones left out of the 14, but I was like, just left school 3 months ago. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? And then obviously I was sub at Stoke, and I was sub at Stoke. There was a squad of 14, 11 players I was sub. And do you know who the 2 left out were?
No.
Venison and McCoist.
Really?
Aye, and them 2 were left out, and I was sub.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, what's going on? So that was probably that. Being in the squad at 16 and like being sub when I was 16, I just never got on. And I tell you who was playing right back for Stoke at the time, mate, Steve Bold.
All right, man.
He came
He was class, man.
Oh well, I would have tortured him. He was playing right back, man. He's about 6'26", and I would have just tortured him if he'd put his on. And he said, "We're winning 1-0. Gary Rowell scored." And Derb says, "If we score second, you're going on. If they equalise, you're going on." And I was praying for a goal either end, and it never happened, and I never got on, and I would have been 16.
Oh, in class. Yeah, again, you did pretty well after that. So one of the lads as well has just asked here, any regrets? A move that you should have had or should have made?
No, leaving Sunderland. I shouldn't have left Sunderland. Yeah. I shouldn't have left Sunderland. It's the worst thing I've ever done. Ever. We were in Magaluf at the end of the season after we got promoted from Division 3. And this is why I like Dennis Smith for. You could always talk to him. And I remember going to him saying, Dennis, is anybody in for me? And John Richard Paul really rang me for 2 years. I don't know how he got my number, because there was obviously no mobiles, just through my mum and dad's number. And he was trying to persuade me for 2 years to go, and I wouldn't go. And then I asked Dennis, and he says, no, nobody's been in for you. I said, well, no, Port Vale's been in for me. And he said, well, Port Vale always ring up for you. And I decided, right, I'm going to go. And I got more money at Port Vale. There's out this and the other. And we got promoted with Port Vale actually the next year. But that's when I only played like 6 games. Or whatever, I broke my ankle in my first game. And we got promoted that year as well. We had like Robbie Earl. And we had Bob Hazel, the big centre-half. Who else we have? We had a good team. We got promoted. But it's the worst thing I've ever done. I should never have gone. And that's because Rudge said to me, you'll not get back in the team next year because they signed Colin Pascoe and they want rid of you. And he put it in my head all the time. And that's why I left. I shouldn't have done.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I'm sure they'll probably have you back now, to be honest. Aye. So here's the thing for you. So what was your favourite chant or song that you've heard from supporters or from the stands when you've played?
You know what it is? I never used to listen to like that. I'm supposed to sang a song about me being fat and round, but honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
That, man.
If you tell me a chant, I honestly can't remember any chants at all.
Yeah.
Well, Blaze, I really can't.
Yeah. What about when you go to watch as a supporter? Is any particular favourite stand out?
Well, there was one at Port Vale, but I mean, again, it doesn't have to be funny. But we had a player called Simon Mills, played at Sheffield Wednesday, then he went to Port Vale, and you're forgetting that one now. He's something about him being bald, but I can't remember now. I really can't remember. I try not to listen to what's about us. You know, I mean, I'm boring that way. You know, sorry.
Well, we're getting pretty close to the end here anyway, Paul. But is anything else that you want to share with the lads who've tuned, or lads and lasses, I should say, who've tuned in?
No, I mean, I think this is great. You know, I mean, obviously we had a few teething problems at the start of it and whatever. Yeah. But it's fantastic that over there that people are getting involved in some and whatever. I mean, I don't go as much as I should. I was there for the Bristol Rovers game. Funny enough, Alan Durbin was there.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's not true what they say, but I did a deal actually with him and Nick Pickman and Kieran Brady was brilliant on the mic and that. And I went to the game with him and his 2 grandsons the next day. I should go back more. I've got to tell you this story though. This is a good story. I like this one. I remember Ian Atkins.
Yes.
See, I've got some paperwork here because you know what it is. Listen to this. Believe it or not, Derek, I've got these are like these are players, right, on the left that I played with, right, and there's on my list here I've got 120, and I've got a story about all of them. No, I was thinking about writing a book, or so not me, get someone to do the story, But anyway, but but Ian Atkins, I lived in Diggs with him, and he was our club captain. I lived in Diggs with him, a lovely lad, Brummy, and he'd left Sunderland and gone to Everton, and we played Everton at home, and I was sub yet again. Thank you. I've got 2 stories actually, and that was thanks to Moustaches. So anyway, I think it was him, and then he says get warmed up. So we're getting beat 2-0 off Everton. I think get warmed up. Mark Proctor scored 2-1 at the full end. I thought I'm not coming on. He says you're definitely coming on. Ian Atkins was playing right back for Everton, and so I'm up against him. So fair enough. So I've come on. I'm standing on the halfway line, and he comes up with us, and he used to wear gum shields. And it made him, he was an ugly man anyway, but it made him even uglier with his big gum shield. And he come up to me, and I thought, he's going to say hello. And he come up to us, he says, I'm going to break your legs. And honestly, and I went, what? He went, I'm going to break your legs. And I went, oh, shit. But about 5 minutes later, 2 minutes later, there's a 50-50. Now, I can't tackle to save my life. It was a 50-50, but it was right on the halfway line, right in front of the dugouts. And if it had been on the far side, I would have jumped out of it. And I thought, I can't. I've got to jump into it. So I've gone in for the tackle. And then I heard a big bang, and I heard like, ah! And I thought, what's that? And I suddenly thought, well, it's not me. And I got up, and there's him lying on the floor crying like a little bird. And he got carried off on a stretcher. I tapped him on the head and said, see you later. That was a good one. Go on.
Did he play with Atkins at Sunderland?
I played when I made my dib. I was 16, living in Diggs in Seaburn with Jack Lemon and a couple of other apprentices, and Alan and Atkins lived in there with John Cook and Ali McCoist. We lived in there together. Right. So I knew him. But when he come up and said he was going to, I thought he was going to say, hello, how you doing, you man? And whatever he said, I'm going to break your legs and whatever. Whoa. And he ended up getting carried off the stretcher, and I tapped him on the head as he went off. Right. And but one last one here. Yeah. We're playing Liverpool at home. Ashurst again. Playing Liverpool at home, and I never even knew I was in the squad. And I was that close to not turning up the game, right? It was one of them things I'm not going to go. I'm not bothered. And I turned up because my mate had rang us and said, can you get tickets for me and my missus, and we'll go as a foursome? I went, yeah, well then. So I went and got tickets. And as I walked through the door at Roker Park, George Baker on the door said, all the best, Paul. I thought, what's he on about? I thought, bloody idiot. So I walked in the dressing room. I'm playing on there. It's on the team sheet. I'm playing. Didn't even know I was playing. And I've got 3 tickets and 3 players. I just went outside and I said to my mate, I said, I'm playing. He went, what? I'm playing. We got beat 3-0, mate. And I remember him saying, keep it tight for the first 10, 15 minutes, be okay. And Gordon Chisholm put a ball across the 18-yard box after 25 seconds. And in rush went, bang, bang, 1-0 down, 25 seconds. And we got beat 3-0. But I never even knew I was playing. Yeah. I'd never nearly turned. Imagine if I hadn't turned up.
That's brilliant.
If I hadn't turned up, where's Yat? Oh, I'll have to play somebody else. I never even knew I was in the squad.
That's class. We've got a question here actually from Simon Telfer, who's up in Canada. Said, if Dennis Smith was a manager today, would we get promoted?
Yes. I don't know with the same personnel, shall I say, but mind you, if he means with the same players, he probably would, because he gets something different out of them. I've got nothing against the manager now, but Party. Steve Parkland's my mate, and he's getting me tickets for games because I've getting in touch with him, and I get on well with him. That, but yeah, Dennis would sort something out.
All right. Well, I'm just going to. There's a couple of announcements I've got to make as well. I want to wish Kevin Turnbull from Studio City, California, speedy recovery. He's just had back surgery. Also, just wanted to mention the Sons of Liberty is raising some money supporting Feeding America. Obviously, COVID-19's devastated the US economy, and there's more and more people losing their jobs and families across the country are continuing to suffer. So we've actually started a fundraiser to allow children's families and seniors to sit down at the table and share a meal. So any donation, big or small, is appreciated. And again, the link can be found on our Facebook page. Again, that's Feeding America. And Paul, I want to thank you for your time and for your service to the club. This has been absolutely fantastic. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in. We have a session scheduled next week with David Rush, and then the week after we have Ruben Angola, and then Rushy, and then Tony Norman at the end of that as well. So, Paul, again, thank you so much for your time. It's been really entertaining.
Thank you. I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it, mate.
Excellent, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Everybody, stay safe and stay healthy. And take care. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye.